Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Ain't Gonna Be No Stupid. I am here with Mayra Flores, who is a COVID survivor, and we're going to learn more about her story. And we are so grateful. The prayers that went out and all the things that she went through, it's harrowing what she went through. But I want to let the audience know how I know you, Mayra. My friend, I call her Tina. If you ever watch Bob's Burger, Tina is her sister. Her name is Esther Aguilar, and she was on our episode in season 1. And Mayra also doesn't know, but you really helped me move. If you remember that, when I was moving the
Yes,
South
I do.
Side,
I do.
I mean,
Yes.
the way you helped me move, I was dumping stuff on the curb to get rid of everything in my condo. What a freeing, purging feeling that was. And thank God you and your husband came. I don't even know what you have or what you took, but you took it off my hands. I'm so
Um,
grateful for that.
Your cedar chest is sitting in my front porch.
Ooh,
So
I even
I have
forgot
that.
about that.
Yeah, I have a couple other like lawn things, like some chairs and like a little like side table for the lawn that my parents actually have those. So
I
they enjoy
love
it.
it.
Yeah,
Love it. That was great.
yeah, they're
Well,
being put to good use. So
it's so great. Tell me this before I go into my stupid story. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
yeah, so again, my name is Mayra Flores. I am actually 35 years old. I just turned 35 in November. Um, I don't have any kids just yet. Hopefully, one day, very soon. But I do have a cat and a dog. My cat I've had for 13 years. And my dog, his name is Noble. We just adopted him, well, not just, but a couple of years ago. And he has diabetes and he went blind on us last year. So
Oh,
it was
wow.
a little bit heartbreaking. Well, not a little bit, a lot of heartbreak came with that. But
They say
yeah,
their nose is more their eyes anyway.
yeah, so the vet actually told us it's actually going to bother you more than it will bother him. And
Yes.
that is absolutely right. I mean, at the beginning, at least, I was just so heartbroken. Like, how is he not going to see? Like, what is his life going to be like? But he's such a happy go lucky kind of dog that
Exactly. You can't.
nothing really faces him.
That's
He's
so
such a
great.
good dog.
I love that. Well, we're definitely got that in common, the dog love, right?
Yes.
Now notice she will be coughing, you guys, because she's a COVID survivor and the cough just lingers and
Sorry, when
lingers,
I've been
right?
out in public, like I went out with my mom to run an errand yesterday, and there was a sign at the door, and there was a man asking, "Do we have any of the symptoms?" And he's like, "Do you have any cough?" And immediately, of course, I start coughing,
Yeah.
and I start kind of catch my breath because we had a long walk to the entrance, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I need to catch my breath. I have this tickle in my throat. It's nothing new from those. I don't have COVID, if that's what you're asking.
Right, right. Even though you had it, which makes you
Yeah,
more of somebody
right.
who has the antibodies, right? Does it mean because you've had it, you have the antibodies now? It like
Not
guaranteed? No,
No,
right?
it's not necessarily. No. So one of the reasons too why they kept me a little bit longer in the hospital, aside from my oxygen levels being low, the doctor really wanted to test me for the antibodies, and they had to wait a certain amount of time. So they came out that I do have the antibodies for for COVID, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I won't get it in the near future. Again, unfortunately, because I did learn from my chiropractor that the antibodies only stay in your body for a certain amount of time. That could be 2, 3 months, which you know, it's
Yes.
it stinks that it's that way, but that's just how it is. And certain ethnic groups don't develop antibodies, and that's why they offer a plasma transfusion. So somebody like myself who's had COVID and develop antibodies, if I wanted to donate plasma for those who may not be able to develop them, that's an option, because that was something that the doctor was really talking to me about and saying that I really needed to consider doing that plasma transfusion if I had not developed any antibodies.
Wow. Well, that's why I got tested yesterday. I don't know the results yet. If the phone rings, though, I'm answering it live right here.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Well, get
I feel like, if I've gone through this whole year and haven't gotten it, I might have the antibodies. I might have had it without the symptoms. I don't know. But then I'm gonna have the opportunity to donate because I want to give back. I want to do what I can since, like, I
Yeah,
mean,
of
what am I
course.
doing, right? I'm just going to start with a stupid story. And I like to keep this stupid, innocent story always on the same theme as what the topic is. But it's not really COVID related, but it's medical and just happened this week. So I'm calling, I think it was my insurance company. No, it was Northwestern. I was calling them. And you know how it's like press 1, press 2, press 3. Well, there was one
Yeah.
number that said, if you're over 50, press this number. So I pressed it and immediately get this human being that's saying, hi, I have this medical device that it's going to help you if you fall down and it's cost millions of dollars. But if you sign up here now, then you will get this device free. And I'm like, no. And I hung up. But now the story gets even better. I go to my ARP magazine because, you know, after 50, you get your ARP magazine. You always feel so sexy when you get that too. And then I see ads for, look, for $19.99. And look, for $19.99, you can get this medical device that costs millions of dollars for cheap. But I'm thinking, I'm only 54. Please don't put me in that category. I'm a little achier than I used to be, but please. And so it just made me think of, oh, the rigmarole that you must have went through just going through COVID. But before you get into the details of everything we're going to talk about, do you also have a stupid or innocent story that you just think makes sense at the time, but it just didn't?
Well, going back to like the medical thing, and like you're saying, like, don't put me in that category. Yesterday, when I was at the eye doctor, um, I just started noticing that I kind of felt a little sad because when I was younger, I was able to sim through all the letters on the screen that they show you. Like, tell me the smallest letters, like the bottom.
Yes.
And yesterday, I had such a hard time with it. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm definitely getting older. I can notice it in my eyes now. Like, I'm 35. People will say, like, that's not old. That's not
Right.
old, like, and I get it. It's not old. To me, like, even a 70, 80-year-old, I would be like, oh my God, they're still young.
Yeah.
But I just felt so silly being to the doctor, like, I can't read the bottom lines.
Yeah.
Like,
So now, Mayra, why is it we call this, I ain't gonna let COVID steal my peace of mind or sanity?
because for someone that's dealt with anxiety, this was an extra thing to throw on my plate, an extra thing to worry about even after I came home from the hospital, because I just cried for a couple of weeks with horrible fatigue, thinking to myself, like, am I ever gonna get better? It would feel a little like heart, pain or anything. I would be super worried. I would keep checking my oxygen levels throughout the day, even if I was just walking from here to the couch, and then I had to stop and tell myself, you are just driving yourself absolutely crazy. You are okay. You will be okay. And you can't let this determine how you're going to feel every day. So you're just gonna take a deep breath and know that you're okay. And I am not gonna let this overtake my life. Just take a deep breath.
Yes, anxiety starts in the mind, doesn't it? So you
Yes,
have to arrest your thinking
I had
and
to tell it
speak,
to shut up.
yeah, and speak life. Even though you don't believe it, your subconscious doesn't know the difference, right? Speak life over yourself. And it definitely connects to my story, right? You feel like still, no matter how old you get, you feel like a kid inside. And I always
Yes.
thought when you got older that you would feel older, except for your body, you don't internally feel older. It's weird. And I thought, ooh, maybe there are people that feel older. I just feel like really, really young. So on that
Yeah,
note,
I think it depends on how you look at it.
yeah, perspective is everything, right? Yeah.
Just a number. Who cares?
They say the best age is the age you're at. So instead of thinking
Yeah.
about the past and how wonderful it was and the future, just be in the moment because otherwise time just goes too fast, right? Except,
Yep. And it's so hard to keep in the moment.
I know, and I think about what you went through, and let's get into the situationship, which I would call your the main dish really is just the fact that you got COVID. And then just can we go through like the order of where you thought you got
Yeah.
it and when you knew and
So, first of all, let me start off by saying that my sister had it I don't think that she was really sharing the extent of how she really was feeling, because she knows that I'm a worrywart. It was hard to have to go through that without being able to physically be there for
Yeah.
her. Um, you know, all along we thought, my husband and I thought we were taking care of ourselves. We stopped seeing our families, of course, for a while until the summer rolled around. And so when she was going through COVID and stuff, of course, we told ourselves, like, we just have to be really careful. And, again, summer rolled around, and not like we let our guard down or anything, but we started, doing more, because we were doing more things outside and it was a little safer.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, still wearing our masks and stuff. So fast forward to the fall, he kept insisting, let's, do something for your birthday. Let's do something for your birthday. I was like, no, I just honestly, I obviously wanted to see my family and do something with them, but I just didn't have a good feeling about it. So we found out that we were in contact with someone that's close to us that went to go get tested for COVID because they had experienced some symptoms like the week before, but they just thought that it was a cold. They didn't really think anything of it. So I immediately started calling around to see where we can go get tested. Everywhere I called would be saying, you have to be established patient of our hospital if you want to come and get tested here, or we don't have any appointments, or go online at midnight because that's when the appointments get released. I was just kind of starting to panic.
Yeah.
Because that was like the closest call for us. Like we were, we were in close contact with this person. We had seen them, a few days before. So I really started to panic. I called, our doctor's office, and they just said, go to the urgent care. They'll actually do a doctor's visit there when they do the COVID test. So both my husband and I went and got tested on a Friday. And by the next day, I already started having, a sore throat. I started having this horrible cough that I developed. And throughout the course of the week, the symptoms just progressively got worse. So it was just, all along while we were waiting for those COVID test results, I kept thinking to myself, this can't be happening. Like, we're always careful. We are very vigilant, and we are always using hand sanitizer, our mask. We keep our distance from people when we go out. We've been very selective with who or whom we let into our home, or who we hang out with, or where we go. So this cannot be happening to us. I had been working from home. So, I had been working from home, and then we started going back to the office a couple of days a week. We sit 6 feet apart. Sometimes, people are further away. We have to wear our mask at all times. I have hand sanitizer by me at all times. I'm like, when did this happen? Like, I never thought we would be part of that statistics.
Yeah. And you aren't just, oh, I got COVID and I was fine. You had a story that
No.
sent you into the ER on a vent, right?
Well, I was not on a ventilator, thank
Okay.
God.
Okay.
I actually thought that was going to be the next step, and that was my biggest fear. So we ended up getting the test results saying that we both had tested negative. I was in bed with horrible body aches, chills, a fever, this cough that was just not allowing me to like breathe properly. So we found out that, the person that we were in close contact with came back positive for COVID. I have no medical conditions at all. I don't have any diabetes, high blood pressure, absolutely nothing. I am, 35, what most people would say it's young. I have no prior history of anything. So I had seen a post from someone I know on social media saying, don't let the news or the media tell you that this is bad, this is just a bit of a cold, like nothing's gonna happen to you, like people just need to get over it, this is nothing serious. And I kept thinking to myself, like, oh my God, like you're lucky if that's all you got. So by the time Friday rolled around, the next Friday, my husband saw that I was not, doing good. He didn't see really any of the symptoms going away. As a matter of fact, they started getting worse. My younger sister came over. She had her big old mask, her N95 mask,
Oh,
keeping her distance from me because, of course, I didn't want her to be close by, but my husband wanted her to be here because anytime that I would get up or try to go do something, I would start coughing uncontrollably. And it was so hard for me to catch my breath because of how hard and how violent this cough was. So she was telling me, if you're really not feeling well, I really think that you should go to the ER. So my husband ended up taking me to the ER. They did, the CT scan, chest x-rays, they tested me again for COVID, but the nurse said, without even testing you, this is COVID. Like you have all of the symptoms. Like, this is
it's weird.
what it is.
Your first test came back negative, even though you had the symptoms. Isn't that weird? And it was a couple days later
I,
too, right? Because if you get tested too soon, it'll come back negative, or how does that work?
well, yeah, I think the first test was too soon because when I first the first test, I was really not having any symptoms other than like a scratchy throat. That's all, and I really didn't think anything of it either. I was just like, oh, maybe it is something that'll just go away. Maybe my throat was dry in the morning. It's just a
Hmm.
change of the weather, the change of
Yeah.
season. So when we went to the ER, it was a little bit more scary for me because at that time I thought that I was pregnant.
Oh,
So when they were doing, when they were saying like, well, we need to do a chest x-ray and we need to do a CT scan with a dye. And I was just like, no, you need to do a pregnancy test first. And they did start asking me like, do you think there may be a chance that you may be pregnant? And I was like, maybe. I know we've been trying. So, I don't know. I was just freaking out, and they ran the test and came back negative, which I was, of course, a little sad, but I was
yeah.
like, okay, well, I mean, it's better because I need to do these tests that, would require me to have like that dye when they do the CT scan and the chest x-ray. So the doctor's like, yeah, well, we're going to send you home because you're doing okay, even though I had this horrible cough. So they sent me home with antibiotics, and they were calling in a prescription for some heavy duty cough syrup. So the ER doctor told my husband, if her symptoms get worse, you need to bring her back. Do not even second guess it. Just bring her back, because when she came in, her oxygen levels were okay, but the cough, if it gets worse, it's going to prevent her from properly breathing or properly getting oxygen into her body. So you need to bring her back if anything gets worse. And also her heart rate was extremely high, but that's normal because all of what her body is going through. Oh my God, like what could happen to me if I don't have like the proper medical care
I
right away?
know. I know. Sometimes when you get in the hands of the medical, like as soon as you get into the hospital, I would think there was a sense of relief. I know every time I've ever been in the hospital, I've always had this, I can finally breathe. Thank you. Somebody is taking care of me. Did you have that feeling at all when you were going into the hospital? I know
I
you,
did.
obviously, I think it sounds like the story is you did have to go back.
I did. A couple of days later, my cough got worse, and I just literally getting up from my bed to go to the bathroom, it was coughing, and I was just like grasping for air, where I had to like have my husband fan me with something because I felt like I couldn't get enough air. um,
Yes.
he's like, you know what, let's just go. Why are we even thinking about it? He's like, let's just go.
Yes.
Immediately he started packing a little backpack for me,
Oh,
putting all kinds of stuff in there for me. So I think he knew that it wasn't just gonna be a in and out kind of situation. Which when we went to the ER, I spent a few hours there, and they were sending me back home. after 8 hours of being there, they were
What
sending
did
me back home.
were they short on beds, or what was the story
No, they
there?
were just discharging me, saying that, that I was gonna be fine if I was taking the cough um, medication, that nothing had gotten worse or anything. But then they told me that I ended up developing pneumonia.
Oh,
So as I was gathering my stuff, because they had already discharged me, telling me that I was gonna be okay to go home,
second time.
the second time, for the second time, I could not stop coughing. I was bending down, trying to I was literally hyperventilating, because
Yeah, I was
at
going to
this
say,
point
because there a panic attack can ensue in the midst of that overly coughing too, right?
now I am in an anxiety panic attack because I couldn't breathe. This nurse just happened to walk by. She helped me and told me, you know what? We are going to admit you to the hospital because you are not okay. You will not be okay if you go home. As a matter of fact, it would only get worse if we just send you home. You cannot go home.
She was a little angel that walked
Yeah,
by. That's
back
beautiful.
and forth. There was a
Mm.
curtain drawn, so I couldn't really see, but all I kept hearing was code blue and ambulances and people just pacing back and forth. Um, it was scary, and all I kept thinking was just I am just so grateful that it's not. I'm sorry that it's
No.
not my mom,
Yes.
my mother-in-law,
Yes.
my husband's grandma,
Yes.
or one of my nieces and nephews having to
Yes.
be here,
Mm.
because I did see a little, a younger mom with her baby walk by, and the baby was just, you know, crying nonstop. And I just felt so bad. I couldn't help but to think of my nieces and nephews. And
Gratitude really buys a lot of currency, I think, with God. It seems like the faith is his currency. And I heard recently in March, when they first came, everybody was getting COVID was really, we went into lockdown. I heard a preacher say, this virus feeds on fear. And I remembered that. Do you think anytime that your symptoms or did it get worse because your fear got worse? Do you see a correlation at all with that?
I do, because I actually been dealing with anxiety for a few years now. I've had these feelings before, but I just never knew what they were. I just thought,
Right, now it's labeled. Did you
yeah,
find that you said you had PTSD witnessing your mom have a heart attack? Before that, was there any anxiety? Or do you think that's your trigger that brought the anxiety?
it was other situations, because even when that happened, I was, I don't know, I think I was maybe 23.
I have a 23-year-old kind of a panic attack too. I just I wouldn't call it like a nervous breakdown, but I remember having that I can't breathe feeling. I wonder if that's common for people that are just becoming an adult. They're out of college, or they're out of the home. I don't know. I don't know how common that is, but
Well, I told one of the nurses when I had seen posts online, of people in social media saying, I am not gonna cancel my Thanksgiving plans. I'm still gonna meet with my family. I'm still gonna do this. And I just kept thinking, why?
I know.
Unfortunately, we have to just look at it at this point in time. I think that it's just not important.
Right.
Christmas is just a date. You could
Ex-
celebrate that with your family. If your whole entire family is there and well in the
Yes.
future, you could celebrate it at any point in time. It's just a date. I saw this lady as I was being wheeled away, and she kind of lifted her head up and looked at me. She was an older lady, and I just, my heart just broke, because I knew that she wasn't feeling well. I know what she was going through. I know she was probably in pain. um so I just looked at her and I just told her, God bless you. And she looked at
Yes.
me and said, you will be okay. um
Oh, good.
so to me that meant a lot, because the nurses there too were just extremely helpful.
Yes. That helps with our healing, the way we
Oh
treat
my
each other,
God,
don't you think?
it really does, because it was such an isolating experience. Not the ICU, thank God, but there was a moment where I thought that's where I was for sure going to end up. A few weeks before all of this started happening, I had read a story of a nurse. I can't remember what state he lived in, but he ended up going into the hospital, a younger man too, with no medical issues. And he kept doing this like live videos on Facebook, telling his friends and families, like, oh, I'm doing better today. I'm feeling okay. Like, I'll be out of here soon. You know, I'm young, I'm strong. Like, everything will be okay. He did have to be in oxygen because his oxygen levels were low, but that was really it. And a couple of days later, he ended up getting intubated. And a day later, he ended up passing.
Ah,
This story just kept like replaying in my head, thinking, like, is this going to be me? Is
mhm.
that going to be my story? You know, I am grateful that it was just that I needed oxygen because my oxygen levels were really low. I remember the one day that I tried to get up to go to the bathroom, and I was hooked up to all these monitors. I got up to go to the bathroom and I could not stop coughing. I did not even make it into the bathroom. I was just trying to make my way back into my bed. All of a sudden, seven nurses rush in, you know, try to get me back into my bed. I was just coughing. The one just kept telling me, like, it's gonna be okay. Just breathe through your nose. Like, you're gonna be okay. Like, she kept patting my back. I was just holding like her hand as if I was holding like my sister's hand or like my mom's hand. And, you know, they don't, I mean, of course that's, you know, their job, but you could tell that they were so passionate about their job, and their ultimate goal was just to get you and nourish you back to
Yes.
health and be there for you as much as possible.
Wow.
So
Bef-
that meant a lot to me.
can I ask you what is a prayer that you would throw up in the midst of thinking that you were going to be the next victim? What is it? What would you be saying, or what did you say to God?
So I just kept thinking, you know, that I had to be patient. So I kept thinking of the serenity prayer,
Yeah.
you know, pray like 1,000 Hail Marys, and I don't know what else I was praying, but I just kept thinking, like, God, I am just so grateful that it's not my mom here, or, you
Yeah.
know, that have like an underlying medical condition.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like the comorbidities I was reading about, they said that if you have the comorbidity, it's considered when you have more than one disease that this is where even you don't even the young people mystery. We don't know why you got it, why it's I mean,
Right.
we know why you got it, but we don't know why it was so bad for you and not for your husband, or and you don't have comorbidities. And that's what's
No,
crazy as well,
not
right?
enough. It could happen to anybody, and everybody's body will react to it differently. I have a friend who's a doctor. She's doing her residency in a hospital in the city, and she had COVID at the same time I did. It hit her differently, but to her, she got infected because she was in close contact, obviously, with patients that had COVID. Unfortunately, she ended up just, you know, catching it there at the hospital. And she kept reassuring me every single day that I was going to be okay. She was also another guardian angel for me because she just kept
Yeah.
texting me every day, asking me how I was doing,
Yes.
you know, telling me that it was going to be okay, telling me she was praying for me, and that if I needed anything, just to let her know. And I knew that if I needed to know anything, you know, medical terms, or if I was unsure of something, like, I knew I could call her and ask her. And, you know,
Isn't
that
great?
was also a peace of mind in knowing that I could just, you know, other than like, of course, the nurses, but that I could like have somebody that I fully trust tell me, you know, really what's happening. I
Oh,
mean,
good.
the normal oxygen levels for anybody range from 95 to 100. You know, when you get to like 88 or lower, that's when you start worrying about it, or when it should be a concern. Mine were at 70. Started
Mm,
progressing. I kept feeling better, a little bit stronger. I could actually get up and like sit up in a chair instead of just laying down the whole time. So yeah, I mean, I think I just needed to be patient. Like I kept telling myself, like one day at a time, like Tomorrow it's going to be better. If I couldn't go and sit up and watch TV on the recliner, then I'm just going to sit here and tomorrow I'll try again.
Right, right. And I also think about, I did some research on the inoculum effect. It says that
Mhm.
people, they say it's about something as simple as the amount of the virus a person is exposed to could affect their infection's course. So it's like you might have had more exposure. That's why your symptoms were greater. I don't know if that makes sense.
Um, yeah, it does. Possibly. I mean, my husband, I don't think he had it until I actually gave it to him because he was taking care of me.
So
I just could not do anything. So he ended up getting it from me. I know when we went to the urgent care originally, they said, try to stay away as much as possible if one of you guys started developing any kind of symptoms. It's just the two of us here at home. We have two spare bedrooms. So I just told him, why don't you just go in one of the spare bedrooms? Like, I'll be okay. He's like, no, what if you need anything at night? Like, I just want to be right here next to you. If you need anything, I know I'm right here and I could help you.
yes. Oh,
So
wow. Wow,
I
that
know,
was a sacrifice, but that's beautiful. That's love.
yeah. So I am also grateful for him because it was just rough on the
It put
both of us.
Didn't it put everything in perspective, right? The little annoyances that you might have had before with him, which is
You mean like
relationship.
him not being able to read my mind?
Yes. Now you're a little more
So,
patient, right? It was like, maybe I didn't
yeah,
tell. Oh, I didn't tell you that? Oh,
yeah.
funny. So before we lighten it up with our rapid fire questions, I want to hear one last thing. I heard that when you left the hospital, tell me, how was the
Oh God, that makes me want to cry every time I think about it.
me too when I heard this.
There was this younger nurse that I had for a couple of nights, and she was just the sweetest. She's wheeling me out at I don't know their walkie talkies that they have. She called the front desk, and the operator, whoever answered, and I know that it was a front desk because she's like, oh, front desk, and she's like, yeah, I'm getting ready to discharge a patient. Can you please play the song? And I was like, what is she talking about? Like, I just kept
Oh,
thinking, like, what song? So we're going through the hospital, making our way out, and all of a sudden, like, as soon as we get down from the elevator, I just started hearing hallelujah.
oh, that'll hit you every time.
And she's like, oh, we're playing this song for you. She's like, we're all just so happy that you're able to go home and that you're one of the lucky ones that get to go home and hug your family again and, you know, be at home and starting to feel much better now.
Oh my
So I
God.
just lost it and I started to cry and she started to cry. So she's
Yes.
pulling me out and we're walking, by the front desk area and there's three ladies there and they just start clapping for me. And
Oh,
I'm just bawling my eyes out. My younger sister's
beautiful.
waiting for me outside in her car. So I come outside and I'm still crying. She's probably thinking like, why is she crying?
Don't
But
you
here I
know?
am, like the nurse and I are both crying. So when I get
Wow.
up from the wheelchair, she just gave me the biggest hug and she was just like, you take care of yourself, honey. You're gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. So
Oh,
I just thanked her and I just, hope that all of our medical personnel that's out there every single day helping patients like myself or helping, patients that are so much worse off, um, are safe and their families are safe, their
yes.
friends are safe. And I just pray for them every day
Yes.
because they were just so great. I cannot tell you how grateful I am for the fact that I had them and they made me feel comfortable and that I knew that if I needed anything, all I had to do was press a little button. They would come right in to ask me if I was okay.
Yeah, we are so grateful for those medical workers. Man,
Yes,
we don't,
yes.
when you hear your story, we realize the magic that they bring to the table. Two things that made me think of when you said we pray for them. If anybody's listening wants a protection prayer, Psalm 91 is the most beautiful thing to read. And also, we can plead the blood of Jesus over us. The blood that was shed for us can literally cover us, like the movie Carrie. I always
Mhm.
picture myself with the blood covering me because it truly is a protectant as well. So that's just two things that made me think of with that. But oh my gosh, this has been amazing. Let's lighten it up a little bit. The rapid fire questions.
Yes.
I'll set you free. I'll set you free. All right. What is the last show you streamed or binge watched?
Oh God. So my guilty pleasure is 90 Day Fiance.
I
All
just
the
watched
90 day,
two
like
episodes last night. Oh my gosh, it's so addictive.
I am a sucker for all of like the reruns for any spin-off show. I am always like just glued to the television. So when I was in the hospital, I was one that I was like kept catching up on.
Good.
And then over Christmas last week, sorry, I can't even think what day it is anymore.
I know.
My husband had found this series on Netflix, the history of rock in Latin America.
Oh.
And at first I was like, I kind of want to watch it. Like, those are more his shows. But then again, he does watch 90 Day Fiance with me. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll watch it. So yeah, we binge watched that one. I mean, it was short. There was like 6 or 7 episodes, but it was really good actually. So
You
I
know
actually
what? Documentaries are some of my favorites.
I
Favorite.
love documentaries
I
too.
do, man. I really, those are addictive for sure. All
Yeah.
right. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Neither. Is that a thing?
Yes, there is a thing. No, neither is a thing. You just go to bed at a normal time and you get up at a normal time.
No, I like sleeping in, but I'm not a night owl because I always say I'm like a grandma. I love going to bed early, like 8:30, 9 o'clock. If I'm all tucked in my bed, I'm like the happiest.
Me too. 8:30. My dog tells me it's time to go because he gets a treat. So he looks me
Yeah.
at the face. I'm like, it's the weekend or it's a vacation. I'm not going to bed at 8:30. And no lie, I'm invited to a party 10 to 12 for New Year's. And I'm sorry, I'm probably not going to make it because
Oh
I get to
yeah,
bed
I
at
totally
8:30.
struggle. I know, when because my husband, since he did end up getting it and he, wasn't doing well yet as far as like being able to, go back to work. Obviously, we were both here at home after I got home from the hospital for like 3 more weeks together. We were here at home, so I did not want to sleep during the day because I knew that I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. So I would try to stay up during the day, or we would just lounge around, watch TV, and chat or whatever. So then we would just go to bed super late. Like, we started going to bed like at midnight, one
Nice.
o'clock in the morning, and then we're like, oh my God, what are we doing? We have to get back to our normal life soon.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be so screwed because we're gonna have like our schedules all thrown off.
Yeah.
So
Your body
yeah, it was
definitely.
hard getting back. Yeah,
That
it was
affects the
hard getting
immune
back.
that affects the immune system too. If we don't sleep right or we don't sleep enough, that lowers our defenses. I just saw a master class about that. So it's another
Oh
fun.
yeah, I mean, any any little thing, even like stress, affects your immune system.
Yes, very much.
So that's a big one. And all last year I kept just thinking to myself like, oh, I gotta start taking more vitamin D, or I gotta start taking some multivitamins. And this year I'm like, okay, vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc.
Everything.
Yes,
Yes.
everything.
Yes. Okay, last question because my dog's staring me down. um, one thing you're going to do differently in 2021 that you didn't even do in 2019 or before.
One thing that I'm gonna do differently, I don't know. I feel like all of our lives have changed so much because of this. But one thing, and it's silly, and I did see this the other day on TikTok, because they had a little thing that was kind of similar, like one thing that you used to do that now you can't believe you did before: blowing into candles for someone's birthday.
You're not doing that anymore, right?
No. I'm like,
Right?
why was that ever a good idea.
Why
It's
is that
actually
even a thing? Why is that even a thing? We need to even cut the
much-
candles out completely.
or get someone a little cupcake and they can blow their candle right there,
Seriously.
not onto the whole like
This,
cake.
this is insanity. I know. I always question that tradition.
But other than that, on a more serious note, I think just being present in the moment, not worrying about so much, with or bothering so much with little things or things that are not important, because life just passes by so quick, and
I
it's
love
just
that.
at the end of the day, certain things are just not worth it.
Well, this goes right to our title. I ain't gonna let COVID steal my peace of mind and sanity. And you just nailed it with that practice that we need to do is lighten up, be in the moment, and just relax. Mayra, it's been such a blessing having you and telling your story. And we're here really not so much to share the woe is me, but it's more about hallelujah, thank you, what you've come out of. And let's celebrate
Yeah.
that, right? Celebrate life pretty much, right?
Yes, big eye opener, even though,
Yes.
we're ones to, take care of ourselves always and be vigilant with this whole situation with coronavirus. But yeah, it's been a life-changing experience, even though I know some people had it worse than we did, and we are very lucky to be where we are today, because I know a lot of people don't get to come home from the hospital,
Mhm.
or don't get to see their loved ones again, just
I also,
great.
we said COVID because I refuse to call it coronavirus because it's got the crown in Spanish. Corona is crown.
Yeah,
We're
we're
not
gonna
gonna,
let you be the
we're
queen
not
of the
gonna
world.
wear, no, we're not gonna wear that crown, right? So that's why I refuse to use the
Yeah,
corona word. I refuse,
yeah,
because I really believe death and life are in the power of the tongue, and so I'm really try to be careful what I say or what I speak over ourselves. Like if we ever say things like, "Oh, you're giving me a heart attack," don't say that, or "You're
yeah,
killing me," or whatever those phrases. Don't say that. Don't say
yeah.
that. Don't call it.
Never thought of it that
Also,
way.
don't own your stuff. Like don't call it my anxiety. Call it the anxiety. Because if you own it, it never goes away. I've been
Years.
yeah, I've been through some health stuff, so I've been learning to just be careful with that as well. But
Yeah,
thank you so much, Mayra. Thanks for sharing your story, and of course, send
yeah.
my love to your
Appreciate
family.
it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciate you.
I just hope that everyone stays healthy and that 2021 will be a better year for everyone, and looking forward to at least the summertime so that we can spend some time outside and not indoors all cooped in, not being able to
Yes.
see people.
Yes, for sure. That's good. I agree. The last episode, we talked about how important community is. So stay
Yeah.
connected to your people as much as you can, right?
Oh, yes, for sure. And it
Oh,
is great to see, everyone come out and what the power of prayers can do. And,
very much.
knowing how many people are behind you rooting for you, it's always, extra
Yes.
special. Makes you feel
Yes. Yes. Oh, on that note, Mayra, thank you so much for coming and saying your love to my family, to your family, which I consider
yes.
my family. Bye.
Bye. Take care. Thank you.